Senator Daly, and you have 8 minutes.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to welcome the Minister of the House and say we support the bill as it will increase competition on broadband and the electronic communications market and obviously reduce costs to the consumer. I suppose the concern, as much as anything else, is in relation to rural Ireland and the investment required for broadband. I think Netflix, and I'm sure the Minister is a great studier of the House of Cards, which might be outdone by activities in the House this week, have said that on their surveys that Ireland was one of the worst countries in the world in relation to broadband speed, or certainly in Europe, and that issue, I suppose, will be resolved only by investment. But as regards rural Ireland and the investment for broadband and high-speed broadband, I'm sure as colleagues opposite will be dealing with local communities who can't even get proper mobile phone service, and in places like Caherdaniel, Castlecove and Lark, and throughout Kerry, they're fighting to have better mobile phone service. And we are talking about broadband and high-speed broadband, and my concern is of course that would be mainly concentrated in terms of investment to bring back some return for the new structure, and that will be focused in Dublin, where the money will be, and while there will be some element of having to provide it in rural areas, the 15% that generally lose out in that regard are those who are living on the peripheries, further isolating and I suppose making sure that those populations continue with a history of population decline. There's just some clarity just in relation to the explanatory memorandum, compensation where appropriate, and obviously the Minister would be aware of Supreme Court rulings about the rights of private property owners, and maybe he'd clarify what where appropriate means. I know that the use of state facilities such as Garda stations and others facilities, including ESB yards and telecom airing yards and even hospitals, would be utilised by agreement, but compensation where appropriate leaves I suppose a worrying question mark out there as to what that actually means, whether that's for private landowners such as farmers, forestry owners, or private individuals. And the other thing is about the monopoly, and again the rural situation and the commitment of 30 megabytes to all rural homes by 2016, and we all are aware of previous governments making commitments and asking for targets and guidelines, and targets and guidelines are well and good, but unless there is actually financial consequences for those who we are giving these rights to, that unless there are financial consequences, they will not meet the guidelines, they will not meet the targets unless there is consequences for them not putting in a proper infrastructure into rural Ireland, because there's no commercial benefit for them to put in infrastructure. It costs more to put in than the revenue that they'll earn out of it. And again, the concern about the structure which is giving them serious powers, some would regard it as monopoly for the provision of fibre broadband for resale, and how that would be addressed. But I think it's the issue of compensation where appropriate, and the issue of rural Ireland, and when we don't have a mobile phone service that is up to scratch, you'd have to concern about a broadband service that is now being talked about. So we welcome the legislation, but just those few concerns. Thank you for hearing.
Thank you very much, Senator.